All right, sir, when you're ready.
Ready? Okay, we'll call to order the regular city council meeting for Tuesday, June 27th, 2023 at 5:31 p.m. And if we could, we'll have an invocation. George, will you start with that?
Sure. Don't wait for me to pray first. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for the rain that you have provided just at the right time, Lord. You continue to look after us, Lord. You care for the birds of the air and the animals in the field. How much more do you love and care for us? Lord, as we look at the business of the city of Glen Rose, may we be so with a clear mind and a pure heart. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Let's do our allegiances, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
You're just gonna have to stand up and leave here in a second. Just wait.
Roll call. Councilmember Walker.
Here.
Councilmember Conrad.
Here.
Councilmember Brenning. Councilmember Freeze.
Present.
We have a quorum. We'll begin the meeting with citizen comments. Any person that would like to speak to the city council signed up. You'll approach the podium, give your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes to comment. Your time cannot be given to anyone else. Another person will not be allowed to speak more than once. This time, let me remind everyone to please turn your cell phones to silent or off. And council members, please remember to be attentive to the citizens. No internet surfing, no texting, no talking until you're called on. That's a big tough one. Do we have anybody? Stacy?
Yes, sir.
You'll state your name and address, please.
Alice Strader, 205 Southwest Bernard Street. I will admit that I've talked to one or two of you guys about an idea. As we've been watching the inflation continue to hurt all of America, but our town, our shops, our restaurants, our hotels. One of the things that I thought of is we need a more proactive sales force. Somebody who's actually looking at not necessarily economic development from a standpoint of finding businesses to come into Glen Rose, but actually selling our businesses, our restaurants, our shops, everything to people. There's a lot of money in parts of our state that still can travel and still can spend it here, but we need to be more vigilant in getting that out there. And while we have a CVB, and their message is, and mission is to put heads in our hotel beds and drive occupancy tax, this would be another position that you might look at as you proceed into budgets, that is a more economic revenue driver that is focused on, they might be somebody who can then look at places that could also become some of the businesses that we want to grow in our town, but also something that could be used to talk to people about, hey, we have shops like this here, or we have these restaurants, or let's find some groups that will, play on our golf courses and stay in our hotels and just look at it from a different perspective than the CVB is working today. That's all.
Thank you. Stacy, I think I've got my items mixed up here. We don't have any items for consideration.
We need to accept Councilwoman Harris'
Okay.
resignation.
All right, yeah, it's different on the line than it is the one you gave me.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. My fault, I'm sure. Individual items to consider. Item 1, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding acceptance of the resignation from the council member Kelly Harris.
I move that we accept her resignation.
A second.
And, well, I already made the motion, so I can't, yeah.
All in favor?
Can I make a closing statement to that? I think we'd be remiss if we didn't take a minute to thank her for the time that she has spent serving our city as a city councilwoman, threading an incredibly difficult needle, and I think doing it very well. I know, and I stole it because it's true. As George has eloquently said in the past, threading an incredibly difficult needle. And it resonated with me because it's true, and it's not easy, and she did it with poise and remarkably well. And I will very much miss having her up here, but I appreciate her making the decision she needed to make.
We will definitely miss Kelly being here. She's a very important part of the council.
Good news is she's still around, she'll still be active, and she'll do a wonderful job, hopefully over at the convention side. So, well, I hate to run you all out of here, but we're going to move to executive session now at 5:37 PM. We have a few items. Those that are excited to come back, please stay. We'll move as fast as we can. Thank you.
Go ahead and read those for the record.
Okay, before they leave. We're going to consider all provisions for the Texas Open Meetings Law, Subchapter D, Government Code, Vernon's Texas Code, annotated in accordance with Section 551.
Yes, no, maybe so.
087, deliberation regarding the economic development negotiations. Mr. Woods, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney to seek advice. Attorney on the matter in which duty of the attorney to govern the body under the Texas disciplinary rules, professional conduct, clearly conflict in this chapter. Proposed sales tax interlocal agreement. Section 551.074, personnel matters, to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee to wit, city administrator.
I can't hear you and him.
Number 5, Section 551.074, personnel matters to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public official or employee to wit, filling a vacancy on city council due to the resignation of Councilmember Kelly Harris.
You know,
It's not always like this, Jesse. You gotta let
Big training one day.
Hey, come on, you're gonna love it.
well, a lot of stuff in there. It's oh. What is that? Hey, Chris. Hey. Are you here first?
You want to say?
I didn't know. He probably thought that. I don't know if it's came late. Yes.
You up here? Okay, we're going to call our regular meeting back into session at 7:31 PM. And we're going to take a 5-minute break. Just
Wait. Okay. Okay, we'll take a break.
Action taken on items discussed in our executive session. Okay. Section 551.087, deliberation regarding economic development negotiations, Whiskey Woods, no action taken. Number 3, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney to seek advice of its attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct clearly conflicts with this chapter. Proposed sales tax interlocal agreement, no action was taken. 4, Section 551.074, personnel matters to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, to wit, city administrator. Action taken, we will, upon specific satisfactory responses from references and audit inquiry information, we will move forward with a contract with the offer that's been made to a city administrator.
Stacy, do we need a motion on that?
Yes.
I'll move.
We have a motion? Second, all in favor? 4, 0.
No, sir. 3-1.
Oh, you were against? Thank you. Section 551.074. Personnel matters to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, dismissal of a public officer or employee, to wit, filling a vacancy on the city council due to the resignation of council member Kelly Harris. We're going to put a public request for candidates to express interest in the council position on the website, and consider all candidates to come forward.
Those applications will be due Wednesday, August 2nd. Just for the record.
Okay, moving to the public hearings section. Number 10, public hearing regarding a request to rezone 301 Northeast Bernard plus 307, being a 0.650 acres block 10, lot 5, 6782 S45 times by 50. Number 3, S5 times 50, 4, S5 times 50, abstract A136, Glen Rose Town Site, identified by the Somervell County Appraisal District as parcel number R00003066 from B1 Restricted Commercial District to B2 General Commercial District. We had,
We need to open the public hearing at 7.
oh, it's, the public meeting opened at 7:38. Yeah.
Stacy, what day were the applications due?
State your name and address.
Wednesday, August 2nd.
Lady Jill McCaffrey, 707 Bryan Street, Monroe, Texas, 764. I just want to preface this, first of all, I hate public speaking, and I don't do it very often, so bear with me. And I also wanted to let you know, as most people know me, that unless you want to put a strip joint next to a school, I don't generally try to mess with people's decisions as to what they do with their property. However, that being said, I recently had to move in this town. I've been here 7 years in the same place that I've been in, and I was quite happy that the house did need a bunch of major repairs to appear in being, and the owners decided that they wanted to have me out, redo the whole thing, and go in a different direction. And I had 60 days to find new housing. I started calling realtors, and I was told that property here, rentals and property in general, housing, was very scarce and extremely expensive, which I found that out. I saw a 600 square foot house that they wanted $1,250 a month. It had 4 outlets and no central heat or AC. I went to another 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment that was $1,500, and they were going to throw in all the cockroaches you could ever want. I call on homes that were up for supposedly for rent. I called, they were already gone, but they were turning them into Airbnbs. I've spoken to people that were also trying to look for places. Some of them just gave up and they moved. They moved to Cleburne, or they moved to Granbury. They totally left and are now commuting to work here. And so when I saw this wanting to be turned from short-term rentals or whatever they were, little cottages, into a hotel, I thought, okay, well, do we really need more hotels here? And I wanted to be fair. So I broke out my Internet for Dummies 101 and tried to research that information. Could not find it. I don't know, are our hotels having to turn away business because we don't have enough rooms to accommodate tourists and people that are here for events or conferences? If that's so, well then, that's fine too. But what I'm asking you to do really is to check with the hoteliers and ask them, or maybe you have this information, I don't know, and this data you can get, I can't. And do we really need more hotels? Or talk to your realtors board and ask them, how bad is housing here in town? Do we have places going to be built that are going to help with all of that? Or is there not enough? And so my ask of you all is to, before you make a decision, research the data, talk to people, and then come to a decision as to what is best for this.
Thank you.
Good job.
I tried.
Okay. 11. Stacy? Public hearing item 11. Public hearing regarding a request to rezone 603 Austin Road, being 0.290 acres, tract 1, block east point of 21, subdivided R0100, abstract A41, Railroad Edition, and identified by the Somerville County Appraisal District as parcel number R00001877 from B1 Restricted Commercial District to R1 Single Family District. Item 12, public hearing regarding a request to rezone 915 Southwest Bernard, being 2.45 acres, tract H6-2-2-3, abstract A39, E. M. Gray, and being identified by the Somerville County Appraisal District as parcel number R0000112555 from R1 Single Family Residential District to P&R Parks and Recreation District. Item 13, public hearing regarding to request to rezone 1007 Southwest Bernard, being 2.45 acres, tract H6-2-2-2, abstract A39, East M. Gray, and being identified by the Somerville County Appraisal District as parcel number R0000112554 from R1 Single Residential District, Single Family Residential District, to P&R Parks and Recreation District. 14, public hearing regarding proposed changes of the City Council Glen Rose Code of Ordinances. Oh, we Xed that, didn't we?
No, we're gonna have the.
Oh, we are. Public hearing regarding proposed changes, City of Glen Rose Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14.02.102, specific use permits. Okay, individual items for consideration.
Close.
Yeah, close public hearing at 7:44. Okay, individual items for consideration. Discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding an ordinance rezoning 301 Northeast Bernard plus 307 being 0.650 acres, block 10, lots 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, S 45 by 50, 3S 5 by 50, 4S 5 by 50, abstract A136, Glen Rose Town Site. Identified by the Somerville County Appraisal District as parcel R00003066 from B1 Restricted Commercial District to B2 General Commercial District.
Larry, you want to do those, or maybe in before you?
Do what, Stacy?
Asking Larry if you wanted to take those, or
Or Larry, you want me?
you want to take those?
I'm sorry?
You want to present those items, you want Pam to
Yeah.
You want me to-
catch you this time?
We went through this hearing, but Pam is.
He's gonna get there. Pam Stringer, 205 Southwest Bernard Street, Chair of the PNC. This property is known as the Bernard Street Cottages. It has been a B1 zone property. The uses of this property in the past have been sanitarium way back in the day, and then it has been long-term rentals, apartments, cottages, efficiencies of that nature. The property was sold. The owners of the property want to put a hotel in. The hotel is not allowed in a B1 district. And so they are, in order for them to move forward, they had to request a rezoning to B2, which does allow hotels. It also allows apartments and short-term rentals or not short-term rentals, efficiencies. So that is the reason for this zoning request.
Are they wanting to tear down what's
No.
there?
They can't tear down. They're, from my understanding, again, remember, we can only decide zoning
Right.
on what the land use is. But it is my understanding that they are going to follow preservation guidelines to keep the buildings as is and do the work to allow what is currently the apartments and cottages to become a hotel.
So that's the primary distinction between the rezoning is in its current zone, it could still be used for living. It, in the new zone, it could also be used for living, but it could currently be used for, but then it would be able to be used for hotels, which it can't be used now. So it could maintain its current use, but add the additional hotel use.
Correct.
The little cottages would be called a hotel too? That's
That would be their
we're talking about
property.
just that, the whole property?
All the whole property would become part of, again, we can't decide.
Yeah, no, I didn't know there.
Yes, the intent is those little cottages would become outbuildings for the hotel. I don't know all their plans.
Right.
They have a representative here who can talk through that, but your zoning,
The zoning would allow for that.
the zoning is the only discussion you can have, and the B1 zoning that they currently are is for, it has any uses, professional offices, it could be apartments, it can be multifamily housing, which they want to go to B2 because all those same uses can be done there, but then it also opens up the opportunity for the hotel.
Thank you.
Who's?
Right here. Come on,
Yeah,
Ed.
anything to offer?
Sure. Sir?
Anything to offer?
Oh, I don't know if I have anything to offer. I'm Brian Gaffney, 4103 Crescent Drive in Granbury, Texas, and I'm representing Miss Vicki Niven. She's the owner of that property. She's a long-term resident of Hood County. She adores Glen Rose. She purchased that piece of property with the intent to convert that to either a short-term or possibly long-term rentals. And she is very respectful of the preservation guidelines that the municipalities, not only in Glen Rose, but in Granbury have in order. She actually owns several of these units in Granbury and has done something similar there in Granbury. So she has a very strong track record there, and her intention is to abide by the codes and ordinances and preservation guidelines that Glen Rose has in town. Trying to save the structure, trying to salvage the structure, and keep it from falling in on itself, quite honestly, because there is some issues with it currently. I didn't know that we could turn it into apartments under the current zoning, but that is not her intent at all. Thank you. Yes, sir. Anybody else?
Yeah, so you said that her intention was to do long-term rentals or short-term rentals. Would those both fit under the current zoning?
Not the short.
not the short term,
Okay, but the long-term would.
long
Okay,
term.
got it.
Thank you.
Can we ask, Linda had suggested we ask the hoteliers, can we ask a hotelier that's here what her thoughts are on getting into their hotel? Or no?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I would abstain from answering that, just so you know.
I
Because
mean,
it's hard to keep the P and Z hat on.
Yeah.
And the business hat separate, and I would choose to abstain from that conversation.
I would,
Rightly so.
yeah, I would love to, anecdotally, right, what I know from what we hear, from what people come to us is that housing is just, we're in a housing crisis right now. And so George likes to say we're not in the business of picking winners and losers, but unfortunately, sometimes we have to make decisions and we have competing priorities. And it seems to me like this is one of those cases where we have competing priorities. So again, I would say anecdotally, it seems like housing is what's critically needed far more than hotel rooms, but I would love the opportunity, if you guys would consider for us to reach out to kind of get some of that feedback, from both priorities, like from realtors and from hoteliers, that we can hear from both. And get a little more as much, data driven as possible versus what folks come up to me and talk about, which is always two things, the growth and the lack of housing. Those are the two things almost exclusively.
Mr. Green's got his hand up.
William Green, 1009 County Road 302. I understand what y'all are saying, but I think this would be a great asset to downtown for what they're wanting to do. They've done a real good job, the lady has over in Granbury. And I understand what Dee's saying about the housing, but we have people that own houses that are doing short-term rentals. Why aren't they doing long-term rentals? So how can you reverse this here and say that this needs to be long-term rentals when you have people that own homes, buying homes, making short-term rentals out of them? So I don't see that as a ground there, Dee.
Well, actually, that's something that I have that I want to meet with P and Z about, is the short-term rentals and what's the impact that we're seeing on it, and can we maybe put some parameters around it that we haven't previously put for this reason, because we're seeing that explode in a way that,
We're off topic now.
yeah, oh, sorry,
I know that.
Heard, Mr. Green, heard.
The
Yeah.
property from a long time, and I just think it would be, for what they're trying to do, to get it zoned to do what they're needing to do with it, I think it would be, to lose this opportunity, I think would be bad for Glenrose. Thank you.
Thank you.
So in the packet, we sent 16 letters. 6 were unconfirmed as received, 2 were returned, 5 favorable responses, and 0 opposition.
I failed to state, P and Z did vote for the recommendation of the change,
To
to allow the zone change.
You had put in the P and Z thing that the surrounding properties were B1 and B2. I think you meant B1 and B3.
No, B1 and B2.
On the map that's in the pack, there is no B2s on that map, in that 200.
Then I may have been wrong. But Stan has previously stated that it is not spot zoning when you're going from a business zone to a business zone, because it's just a numerical use change, not a use granular. I can't say the right word here, but it's still a business use. It's just changing what types of businesses are allowed to be used.
Get the letters.
there's not, yeah, there you go.
Anything else, anybody?
I move that we adopt the ordinance as presented.
I think I'll second that, because we do have, we did get no letters in opposition. I do see what Linda's just talking about, and I think we should consider that. down the line, keep that in mind. But for this, we have the people that have sent in the letters for favor, they're all for it. Good for good downtown business, good for traffic. Like Mr. Green said, it would be an asset. I would like to see those buildings to be really well-developed and a big asset for our community.
Do you have a motion? Yes, sir. I made a motion.
Is there a second? Okay, all in favor? 3-1.
I was gonna just abstain because I don't have enough information to make a good decision.
Zero abstention. Ordinance number 2023.07.11. A.
2023 dot what?
2023.07.11.a.
Okay.
I'm just standing for you next one.
Discussion, consideration, possible action regarding ordinance rezoning 603 Austin Road being 0.290 acres, tract 1, block east, point of 21, subdivided R0100, abstract A41, railroad addition, and identified by the Somervell County Appraisal District as parcel R00001877 from B1 Restricted Commercial District to R1 Single Family District.
For those of you who know, this is the Dragonfly. It's the cafe, etc. Yeah. So it used to be a house. It became a business. The owners who have purchased it came and spoke a couple of times, and in order to sell it, they need to really turn it back to residential. Right now, it's actually spot zoned. When it became a business, it's completely surrounded by residential R1, R3. And so P&Z did agree to make this, made sense to have this zoning reverted back to its original R1 so that it comes out of spot zoning and can be used for what its original purpose was, a house. And the owners are right here if you guys have questions.
You did, correct?
We've talked a lot.
Yeah, I knew a little more about the history of this. There will be some requirements from the building department to make sure that they're in compliance with the residential code, and we'll go out and take a look at that. But for now, it's just about changing the zoning back to its original zoning, and it's spot zoned.
Correct. And this fixes the spot zone.
I make a move that we approve this, get rid of the spot zoning.
Second.
All in favor?
Now you have a floor.
4-0.
Now you can eat it.
Okay, ordinance number 2023.07.11.b.
Yes, sir.
Number 17, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding an ordinance rezoning 915 Southwest Bernard, being 2.450 acres, tract 862-2-3, abstract A39, E.M. Gray, and being identified by the Somervell County Appraisal District as parcel number R0000112555 from R1 Single Family Residential District to P&R Parks and Recreation District.
All right, this is river land. Its entrance area is really right across from the ball fields and right where the new road is going up to the intermediate school. It is currently an R1, but it is in the FEMA floodplain at the base elevation, which means that to build a residential, not impossible, but expensive and difficult. The use that the owner is moving to is campground, glamping. Again, doesn't matter, can't make that decision around it, but our future use map does have this in open parkland. So moving it to a PNR actually allows the land to be used following FEMA guidelines. FEMA actually recommends camping in a base flood elevation level. So based on what the land could be used for, based on the fact that the future use map says it should be an open park, and based on the fact that as an R1, it would be expensive and difficult to build, P&Z recommended that it go ahead and rezone. And you've got a second line, there's two parcels.
Okay.
That's the same owner, same thing. So there is, Larry will explain that there's some stuff that has to happen. They've actually been in use. They've had to step back until all of this gets worked through, and there will be some paperwork that, and some inspections that Larry will go through with them if this is approved by you guys, to make sure they're in compliance with your business, the city ordinances.
And this is an allowed use in the FEMA floodplains.
Yeah.
And it's part of the, the plan that we have now. So it would be in compliance with both. And that allows it to be, now he's talking about camping only. I don't think he's talking about RVs and putting in sewer. So, and there, you can build in that FEMA floodplain. I'm working on an ordinance right now, and I've been in touch with the Texas rep. We're almost done with it. So, it can be built in, but it is very difficult. There are special rules, and it's expensive.
That was my only question. Okay.
And this is in a high hazard zone.
This is so close to the river for flooding. You said high hazard because of the
Yes,
flood?
yes.
His
that is
elevation
that
to
is
the river
current
is
map.
extremely high.
We have a new
Extremely
map that takes effect on September 17th to 2023. And so that's why I have to amend the ordinance to match the language that needs to be there, so we don't lose our flood insurance.
Okay, let's continue with this property. Let's stick to it.
Yeah, that's in the floodplain, and that's what I'm saying. It's a high hazard area.
I make a motion to change the zoning
So
to,
I had a question.
oh, I'm sorry.
We had one opposition response. Does anybody, did he give
From
any?
the school district?
Yeah, did he give
None
any
of us have figured out.
explanation?
No. I tried calling the office to get, it's just their standard response right now.
Yeah.
Anything going on around them, they just do an automatic no to it. There was concern that I got a phone call from a landowner in the county on the other side of the river, but we don't take we don't send them letters because they're not within the city. But again, in talking through, again, you can only decide on the zoning, not what they're using it for, but what makes the most sense for the land use. And based on being in the floodplain, based on R1 being an extremely difficult place for them to do any type of residential building, while not impossible, hard, we did feel that this complied with our future use map and made the most sense.
Okay, then I make a motion that we rezone from R1 to PNR.
Can we handle both of the ordinances in one motion? A second.
All in favor? 4-0.
And then you can just ditto that whole conversation.
Rules are rules. Ordinance
You have to read it, I don't have to speak.
Ordinance number 2013.07.11.c. For 18, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding ordinance rezoning 1007 Southwest Bernard, being 2.45 acres, tract H6-2-2-2, abstract A39, EM Gray, being identified by the Somervell County Appraisal District as parcel number R000011254 from R1 Single Family Residence District to PNR Park and Recreation District.
I make a motion that we rezone from R1 to PNR.
Second.
All in favor? 0. Ordinance number 2023.07.11. Does it get its own D? Okay. That was at 19, right, Stacy?
I moved,
This is one.
we
Yeah.
should motion that, right?
Yes, sir.
I moved table number 19, item number 19.
Motion.
Oh,
Item 19?
Based on the advice of our
Yeah.
council.
yeah,
Before we motion, we need a second.
second.
All in favor?
I don't know what we're saying.
Yes, you can.
So, yes, Stan said he could work on it. Oh, we can't, I mean, we could talk about it, we can't do anything because he's got to review it.
Oh, so Stan needs more time to redo
Yes.
this? Okay, yeah.
Can we have a vote again? All in favor? 4-0. Okay. Number 20. Discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding the work order number 41 under the General Services Agreement with EHT for impact fees and capital improvement plan update.
I'll kick this one off if that's all right. Chris Hay with EHT. We were requested to provide a work order for an update of the capital improvements plan and also include a scope in there for an impact fee study. So that's what the work order you have in front of you is. The majority of that work order is scope from a sub-consultant that we would use to do the impact fee study and analysis. Our portion of work will be the capital improvements plan update. I believe we created your first capital improvements plan, have done multiple updates since then. This is the first time, I believe, the city of Glen Rose is implementing impact fees, so this will be an initial kickoff. We use Raftelis. It's a sub-consultant that does a lot of these impact fee studies. We've done multiple with them before for different municipalities. They outline their scope of work in the proposal, along with the different meetings. They go into pretty good detail about what their scope of work would include, the meetings, the timelines, and everything associated with that. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have about the process or about our work order. But that's all I have.
I just have a question. Can we separate the two? I mean, so in my thinking, we have the impact fee as a question, but then the update to the CIP. And, you know, I'm concerned that on the impact fees, if we don't get a satisfactory agreement on the resolution of the sales tax question, there's not much incentive to move forward with annexation and future use development. So we would be spending $50-something thousand on impact fees if we only were looking at infilling the existing property that's inside the city limits currently.
Yeah, that's certainly up to you. I'm happy to do a separate work order for capital improvements plan. If you want to move forward with this, we certainly wouldn't proceed on the impact fee study portion until we're directed to do
The
so.
impact fees would, if we have a subdivision coming in, the impact fees would, we have, it would impact that subdivision. I was trying to think of another word, I can't. The impact fees would impact any new subdivisions, any new building, with developers and stuff. So it's not just a business, it's housing developments and everything.
Yeah, any new water or wastewater tap would be onto the system, even if it's inside the existing city limits or service area, would be affected by the impact fee.
But that's in George's estimation, that's a relatively insignificant backfill. We are
Certainly could be.
We are mostly filled out. There are limited large properties still available for development. Where
We've
is
got
it?
several.
You've got, how much land has older buildings on them that people could buy and take down and develop?
That's a retrofitted use.
Comes back to impact fees.
That's what I was gonna ask. Could we highlight what are the estimated, things that we're gonna be, like impact fees? So in that case, like when we say we're talking about impact fees, what are some examples of
Okay,
where
so
you
Bruner's Motor just completely demoed and is gonna build anew. If we had impact fees, that would apply to them.
If typically it would typically impact fees are applied for different meter sizes. So if they don't change, if they have an existing water meter and then their meter doesn't change, their meter size doesn't change. I don't think it's typical that you get impact fees off that.
But almost everything that would be torn down to rebuild into something new will have to have a meter change. In my semi-knowledgeable opinion.
It certainly could. But
And,
there's not also a chance that it would maintain
You're
the
right.
existing meter size.
but we have land that is going to be developed into housing.
You've got a couple of so let me ask you this, from a subdivision standpoint where they broke up some stuff into phasing. If part of the phasing was worked on, but the second part hasn't been, and they're coming in for plats and replats, impact fees would kick in for that land.
I believe so.
It's all the meters.
All
All
new,
the
yeah.
meters.
I believe so.
So I'm just,
Wait a minute, hold on.
I'll defer to the experts.
I know.
Which is the break-even
I just wanna make sure my understanding is right.
I
I,
believe that is
yeah.
Well, the problem is without knowing what the impact fees are, you can't know what your break-even analysis is.
We really need to do the impact fee study. We've got to get that done in order to put the impact fees on our list. that we're-
I haven't looked at it. What are you talking about as the cost of the study?
Almost
I-
$51,000.
You will make that back in impact fees.
I'd like for them to tell us that.
Well, I understand. I'm just saying, we've had a couple of development meetings here about some housing areas that if they are to move forward, based on where we had kind of looked at what the impact fees should have been before we realized we had to do all this stuff, you would easily have made the 50,000.
Already.
Absolutely.
And the study is gonna be the study actually determines the maximum impact,
Right.
allowable impact fee that you can charge. You don't have to charge it, but that determines what you can charge. We haven't done the analysis on the number of lots available, so it's hard for me to say. But just a comparable, the municipalities and some utility districts that we work for around here, especially in the Hood County area, their water impact fees are between $5,000 to $7,000 a connection, and wastewater are pretty similar to that. So you're talking potentially $10,000 to $14,000 a connection impact fee. And granted, those are for different cities and different systems and different projects associated with those and different growth rates and all sorts of stuff, but
We're not talking 100, $200, yeah.
they're typically pretty significant.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
But they're based on what your growth rate is.
They're based on projects needed to support future development in combination with what that projected future growth is. So there's a calculation, and that's where our subconsultant comes in. We don't do that calculation. We do the groundwork for it, the cost, capital impact improvements plan, which is the basis for most of that information. But they actually come in, and it's all outlined in the statute. I think it's chapter 395 of the local government code, outlines specifically what you have to do and what you can do and different options for calculating these fees. So it's all according to the statute, really.
The impact fees are to help pay for future problems or future stuff with that area. Is that correct? I mean, that's the basis behind
Your
them.
infrastructure development in that development.
Yeah, it's essentially to mitigate rate impacts arising from capital costs to support infrastructure for new development. So it's helping new development pay their own way, and taking some of the burden off of existing ratepayers.
And so Chris, are you talking, is it looking like the CIP is in the $15,000?
Yes, that's a budget item that Jim asked me for, I think for budgets, and that's what our fee would be. Our portion, the rest is really direct pass through us as a subconsultant, so.
With the inflationary impact of these projects, we have to get a better understanding, and that's some of the things that you're going to be doing is reevaluating what the costs are now versus what They were, the last impact study was 2019.
I believe so, and so costs have certainly been affected, have gone up since then, but two, as a city as a whole, y'all have done a great job at knocking out projects on your capital improvements plan. I mean, right now, I think, need more projects to go on the list. So, and that's-
We got a lot of
And we're
tank.
thinking so much.
We got a lot of tank.
Yeah, he's doing well.
So we've got a list that talking with Jim, I know we've got a list of stuff to do, but it's just currently not on the current plan, so.
So Chris,
That's what's-
do you know, do cities generally set that impact fees aside in a capital fund,
So-
and then pull from that?
This is getting to the edges of my,
Come on, I know you know,
but it's my understanding that there's a separate impact fee fund, and that money can only be used for certain purposes. So.
You have to put it in a fund.
Okay.
So you have to use it for what you say you're using it for.
Right.
It can't, I don't think it can go back towards a general fund or you can't transfer it in and out. It's projects that are directly associated with the capital improvements plan or costs associated with those projects.
Okay, so in the budget, we already have the money for what EHT is gonna be doing, but do we have the 51,000, 54, whatever it is, 50,400? Do we have that in the budget, or is this something going towards next budget, or is this now, what are we
We
looking at?
budgeted, when we did, I've got it, I wanna
budgeted
say
this in there?
November. Yeah, we
Okay.
had, it was one of the.
Got $40,000 for an impact fee.
Yeah, a
We did
lot.
40 for an impact fee,
Yeah.
so we have the money to pull from somewhere to be able to offset this? Okay.
Any other question? Richard, anything?
Your mic's off.
Technical issues. No questions. I make a motion that we accept the agreement with EHT to conduct the impact fees study.
And
And the capital.
And then the capital improvement project?
I thought we were talking about only doing the one, or are we separate, or are we doing both and separating them?
Currently, both tasks are included on the work order 41 that's presented in front of you today. If you want to scratch one off, I'd be happy to move forward under direction to scratch one off. Just let me know what we can do. We can move forward that way, but it's completely up to you guys.
It's on page 101, Rich.
Yeah, I've got it. Well, then I would say both studies.
Second. Oh, you got it.
Make your motion again, Richard.
I make a motion that we get into an agreement with EHT for the impact fee and capital improvement plan study.
Second.
And I lost you if you said something.
No, we didn't. We have a second. All in favor? 3?
I'll be a no.
No, 3, 1.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry.
We don't even know this. Okay. 21, final item, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding council assignments.
Let me get that. It's a follow-up from the last meeting. Yes.
You can skip that till she gets.
I'm trying to put it in there.
I'll just go consent.
There's some need to decide.
Okay. The positions and the task for Mayor Pro Tem, CVB Advisory Board, Text 21, and sales tax interlocal agreement. which one of the council members is now not on it. Do you have that replacement to make too?
On which
Can we
one?
change that to
Sales, interlocal agreement.
sales tax? Sales tax interlocal agreement. It was Kelly and George. That's George. Tim is done. CBB Advisory Board. Text 21 and sales tax interlocal agreement.
I'm on CBB advisory board.
And also on text 21. Richard.
That was Rich. Rich and I, right, Rich? You still want to
Yep.
switch?
Yep. Is George the second person on text 21?
Yes.
George, you're actually our voting member, right? And you're the
Yes.
secondary, so Rich will be the secondary, I think.
If he's gonna do that, we need to email him. Also join him.
Are we saying what we'd like to do, or are we just saying what we're doing right now?
Well, yeah, we can certainly say what you'd like to do. Comments?
I would like to join the sales tax interlocal agreement.
Please, Kelly.
Yes, please. I don't know the term, team, group. That.
Okay. We don't have to vote on this.
No, do we? We had to vote on the text 21. We had to vote on all these previously.
You had to vote on George because he was your voting member. And so,
We voted on all of
and
them.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes, we did.
We did on that.
Yes.
We did on Mayor Pro
Because
Tem.
we also voted on the sales tax one because I had nominated somebody else and then that was corrected and so we had to vote on it. Yes. I mean, we don't have to. I'm just saying we did.
but we can
before,
just
so
go
we did
ahead and,
before.
if y'all want to go ahead and decide,
Yeah,
TJ's
we
has
can
to be
just
voted on,
vote
but
yes.
if y'all wanna go and make the assignments, you can vote on them as a
fine.
blanket, just to approve those people.
The only thing I have interest in is the advisory board on the CBB. I know you're on there and you're on one other. I just think it's an important issue, maybe some new blood, new ideas. I'm just interested. Comments, TJ Walker?
It's a time, like you're on it for a certain time period, and I don't know what time.
It's a voting board, it's a selected position that they vote.
We select it.
Yeah.
We select it up
You
here.
select it, but
Yeah.
I don't know when it switches.
We did
Yeah,
not
I
put
don't
it,
know
we
when
did
it
not put a
switches.
time, and I did the interlocal agreement, we did not put a time on it, on the interlocal agreement. Last time we did it, when we had a new council, we revisited it. So Chip Jocelyn was the original one. Then when we seated a new council, we voted again, and that's when we voted here. So we did not put it in the interlocal agreement, but we've treated it like all of the other ones, which is when there was a new city council seated, we all revoted at that time. But the interlocal agreement itself, I helped draft it. It does
Yeah,
not have a
that's
time on
interlocal
it.
stuff. On the advisory board, Chip was on it,
No.
and he called me and asked me if I could take it for him.
Right, but that's the interlocal.
And I don't know the details on all of that, but I know it's a time period.
No, that's what I'm saying, it's
So-
not. The interlocal agreement is when we name, so the interlocal agreement says it's gotta have one city council representative, one commissioner, X number of hoteliers, like it lists out what it needs to be. It doesn't list their time inserted, the time in the role.
Okay, now I know
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah, I wasn't articulating that very well, I'm sorry.
I believe that the advisory board, not related to your interlocal agreement, but the advisory board is a 2-year, when you set up the advisory board, those people were chosen for a 2-year seat, is that not right?
The advisory board is spelled out in the interlocal agreement. It is the interlocal agreement. So the interlocal agreement includes specifications for the advisory board.
But I think that it was,
But I guess I understand what you're saying.
Can you-
But if
can you
but
pull-
if somebody
Stacy,
was on the
can you
city
pull-
council
maybe
advisory
I'm-
board,
maybe I'm
and was
misremembering.
off city council, then they couldn't stay on the CVB advisory board.
and that's a different situation.
Okay.
The advisory board was created by ordinance. However, whenever we took the CVB and moved it out, the note on the ordinance here is the city and county passed and approved an interlocal cooperation agreement to combine the city CVB and county tourism department This section of the Code of Ordinances is suspended until the interlocal agreement has been rescinded. So yes, you're correct, they are 2-year terms on the ordinance, but now that's rescinded and is based off the interlocal, which we would have to pull and
So I'm
get the
just
details.
saying,
Yeah, so I'm saying, you're right,
But
So we can do what we want.
Yeah.
It's our money, it's our board. we
the
can use
interlocal
it.
agreement.
Yeah, that's what I
We don't-
can see.
So we need to look at that agreement.
We should, I was gonna say, we should be able to find it.
So Rich and George on text 21, and I'm on the advisory board, and Dee and George on the sales tax bill, so that's,
But Joe was saying he wants on the advisory board.
I'm just suggesting that I think that'd be, I can't say, I'm not gonna step on toes. I'm interested in that segment of the city, promotion and working within it. I think it's an important, for all of our,
Well, you and I also talked about having a CVB, or not a CVB, a city council kind of an advisor to P and Z, just so that there was more. I know you'd have to vote all that in and put it on the agenda, but.
Yeah, you were gonna bring that up, but you didn't. You contribute.
We brought it, we had a sidebar conversation that I just said, I think there should be somebody who is more engaged in a future of kind of what's your goals, what are you guys thinking, where are you working? And just to tie the two entities more proactively together as opposed to the reactiveness of us telling you, here's what we've worked on, here's your recommendations. That was just a
That's a
quick
good
conversation we had. And so you don't have that position yet. I don't know what you'd have to do to actually create that position, but that would need to then also have a member on it if somebody wanted. I know George has kind of got, 3 jobs right now.
Could we do that, Stacey? Could we do that as part of this?
I missed what you said.
I'm sorry.
You're like, do what you're doing right now.
Since
And
we
maybe we
don't have
looked
the
into,
issue
do it
of,
1 year or something.
since we don't have the issue of the quorum,
Can't do it.
Get these guys.
Yeah, it's just that there's, we nominated a person, that's what I thought, yeah. Because it could change at any point. Yeah, I knew that, I didn't think there was, but I know that.
George, since we don't have the issue of the quorum, why don't we have two,
Oh, we don't have a quorum issue.
we don't have a quorum issue. TJ could be the voting member.
We don't have a quorum issue.
I can't authorize that, that's,
I'm not
That's the
asking you, I'm
advisory board.
not asking you to authorize anything. I'm saying it's.
We are there, that's right.
You don't have a quorum issue.
Yeah, that's right.
But they have a structure of who they have on their board.
That's right.
The advisory board has 1 council member, 1 commissioner, 1 city hotelier, 1 county hotelier, 1 attraction.
Yeah.
She has it
it's
set
like
up that way, so
No,
everyone.
we set it up that
Well,
way.
yeah, y'all have it
Yes,
set up
we
that
set
way,
it up that way.
so it has a
Yes.
voting interest of everybody that's involved.
I think it makes sense to change it up. That's what I think. But could somebody, no, that's too many cooks in the kitchen.
what we were saying a while ago is, can we set up a person on the deal that Pam's talking about as a council?
Oh, that's what I was asking. So Pam had shared another idea for another position. Can we discuss that here since we're talking about city council assignments? I think that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna have to go through that again.
I'm sorry?
No,
No?
No, I think it makes sense.
I thought it made sense.
Because they have to.
Would that be one that you would be interested in?
Know a little bit about planning and zoning.
That's where you guys, that's where you just came from.
Right now, you've got, I'm sorry, I'm speaking out of turn. You got George is pro tem, you've got him on the text dot, and you've got him on the sales interlocal agreement. That seems he's really loaded.
Mhm.
You've got, Rich on text dot, you've got, Dee who wants to be on the interlocal agreements. You've got TJ who is currently on the CVB advisory, which kind of leaves you with nothing. But you and I had discussed that idea
Yeah.
under a different circumstance of something else.
Yeah, a little further, a little more.
Yeah, under a whole different idea, we brought this up, and whether that other topic we talked about comes to fruition or not, it's still a good idea to have a little bit tighter liaisoning for more proactive communication between P and Z and the city council.
There's also kind of a need for the design review committee that, meet quarterly, just to
Right.
kind of review.
You talked
things,
about some of that
kind of
stuff
see
with-
things that
With
could be
with
moved
text
along.
dot, yeah.
And that's P and Z stuff?
No, the design review is the text dot on them going through all their projects. George had mentioned that, and there was two sections, two meetings to that.
I can't remember what
That will not be last
the meetings with their staff,
Right,
that they would invite everybody to that.
right. So I'm just saying, you guys have some other
Yeah, they're still working.
other commissions of things to do that you have to kind of think through. So I hate to say that, maybe you need to think through it some more.
I'm on CVB.
No, you're not. We make that decision from up here.
I'm on it right now. I want to stay on it.
It is a
Does anybody want to make a motion, or do y'all want me to make a motion? Can I? George, your text one, yes.
21 interlocal sales tax.
The mayor pro tem is already down, so that one doesn't have to be one. George, sales tax.
That's totally different.
Sales tax. Rich on, you're the voting member.
And Rich on 21, text 21.
Text 121. Anybody have any interest in the P and Z one? You don't have to fill it right now if nobody's interested.
No, I do have interest, but I want to talk with Pam and devise it a little closer to what we need.
Okay. Either one of you want to say no thank you to CVB, or do you both want to be considered for CVB? We'll make one motion will work, one motion won't work.
I would like to stay on CVB.
That's a tough spot.
We can hold and have another conversation in another month if y'all want to have more dialogue to come up with what direction you want to go in.
Give it to.
Would y'all like to do that? We can just decide on the sales tax and text 121 right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Sales tax, text 121, text 121. I feel like I'm missing, no, and P&Z is on hold. Okay, I make a motion that George remains the voting member on text 121 and Rich joins him.
Text 21.
Did I keep saying 121? Have I said this whole time? Let's try 21. Let's start again. I make a motion that George remains the voting member on text 21 and Rich joins him. I make that George remains on sales tax and I join him. And there we go. So moved.
Second.
All in favor? 4-0.
Okay. Consent agenda. Can we do all these together, Stacy?
As long as no one pulls anything.
Does anyone have anything specific to discuss? Consent agenda?
Sir. Oh, sorry, I was just fixing up.
Motion.
Need a motion? I'll make a motion. To
Second.
approve the consent agenda as
All in
presented.
favor to approve consent agenda? 4-0. Okay. Exciting part of the meeting. You guys been waiting for this, haven't you? Public Works Director report.
Oh. Ask my question.
I don't have anything to add.
Any questions, anybody?
Got off easy today.
I got him out in the hallway earlier.
I already talked to him.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Yes, sir.
Jesse, Police Chief report.
He's ready for all the questions. He's been studying front and back. Lots of
And
questions.
substitution of.
Uh,
Come on up there.
So they're gonna, the report's been submitted, they're gonna ask you a ton of questions, you try to answer the questions best to your knowledge.
Son of a-
You can always say, I don't know, Buck didn't tell
Lifeline, we get
me.
a lifeline?
You're always allowed to say, Buck will have to answer that.
Nothing to add.
Any questions on the
Did you
report?
even get to see the report?
Yes.
See, look at that.
To see an easy question.
Oh, look, you got a question.
I don't have any
Nothing? No
questions for
questions?
Jesse. I've read through the report.
Appreciate it.
We thank you for your,
I just have one. It's just a
Okay,
curiosity
we have a
question.
Yes.
And you, just curiosity. Citations are down like significantly. Is it because folks know, like why do you think that is?
I think there's several factors. I mean, I was on PTO for a while, and, it's
That'll do
an
it?
officer discretion issue that changes from month to month.
Day
Okay.
to day.
Yeah.
Stop. I was just looking year over year and it went from 88 to 38 and I'm wondering if folks just know you're out there now. So they're like,
Maybe.
They're scared.
okay, thank you.
All right.
code enforcement. Mr. Allen?
We're missing a building report because of all the disruption. She has to manually enter that data,
Okay.
so we'll catch it up for next month if it's okay. Code enforcement, I actually haven't seen the report, but I know it's in there.
Any questions for the codes?
Yeah, they usually bring that to my office, but we've been in disarray.
A little bit.
A little bit, not much. We're catching up now.
Just your impressions. You've been here, you've been seeing the stuff that's starting to pop up.
Everything you promised me.
Great
Everything and then a
answer.
little bit more. It's been exciting so far.
Okay, okay.
Especially stepping over the renovations.
Uh-huh.
But yes, it is gonna be some fun, and we've got a lot coming.
Fine, okay.
All right,
That's
anything on
interesting.
animal control? You gotten into that very much?
I've spoken with her several times. We have a resignation for her assistant. We're gonna have to fill that
Justice?
position.
Yes.
Yeah, she'll be departing on Friday. And that's gonna put her at double duty.
You'll handle that
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know if I'll
for the
handle it.
replacement?
Yeah, someone will be doing the replacement. I don't know what the process is yet, but they'll be working on the advertisement. I know that she's told Stacy.
Okay,
Is that good?
that's good, thank you.
That guy right there.
Oh,
Convention and Visitor Bureau's director report.
Y'all, I handed that out to y'all.
You what?
I handed that out to y'all earlier.
right here.
Any questions?
Not that anybody's here to answer them.
Is that
He's
well?
not here to answer.
Someone over there can answer it.
Don't look at me. I have nothing to do with it.
And the all-important city secretary's report.
I also did not turn mine in with the agenda packet because I've been moving offices in and out of this room. But, so not a whole lot. We've launched the website. We're working on getting the new notification system live, that will run off the website.
Have you identified any icons that you need? Remember, we paid for 10 icons to be designed for us that we've been on hold until this website, so it's already paid.
They kind of have their own that are standard. So unless there's something you'll see that we need, then
And we can use them in a different, okay.
yeah, if there's
Okay.
some other application we can use them in, but.
Okay.
I finally got that. There's still some things we're tweaking. Obviously, it's like anything else you'd get what you put in. They just converted it to look prettier in the background, that, they're still tweaking on that part. some things that aren't connecting like they need to, and just working on getting all that cleaned up. I feel like I've been working on a lot more stuff, but
Brain dead.
as long as y'all don't notice that anything's happening, then it's good.
She's been
So-
painting.
Yes. Not my forte, but
Could you check the bulk trash pickups for the rest of the year and
Yes.
see if they coincide with holidays? If they're anywhere near a holiday, within 2 weeks of a holiday, they gotta move. The first two this year have been on holiday weekends. And
Yeah.
so you either have no bulk trash pickup or a trashy yard for the holiday. So that would be
and I
awesome.
also conflict with our semi-annual garage sales.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, ma'am. I meant to look at the next two and I haven't, but and that might be a smart play on their part,
They're gonna-
right? Like put it in a holiday and then people won't do anything. We don't have to pick anything up.
Yeah.
So that would be,
I was asked this week, when's the bulk trash pickup? It was last Friday. You couldn't put anything out because of the parade and then you went out of town and da-da-da. It's like,
All right, let's move on.
Mayor,
Yes, Ann?
can I just make a comment as a compliment to the city secretary?
I was gonna do it, but I'll allow that. Please do.
I was just gonna say that with the website and everything that she's been working on and getting going and all, from historic preservation, she did reach out to make sure that we had everything that historic preservation wanted on there and to put it in drop-down boxes and all. And with everything that's going on here at City Hall with shuffling desks around and putting new carpet and tile and everything, it hasn't all flown real smoothly yet, but I do appreciate the fact that she at least reached out and said, what do you need on there for historic preservation so that it's easier for people to find after 5 o'clock in the evening in this, so thank you very much.
And it looks good.
Thank
I was
you.
on it earlier.
All of the city offices, everyone here has sacrificed lifting desks and moving things, and had to redo it, most of the work, so that, yeah, they've been put through it.
But I wish this, it was, she did a great job.
Yes, she has.
Thank you.
Okay, city administrators report.
And it's there as well.
my only question is on this, safe route sidewalk situation. I swear I feel like we've been talking about this since before I even came on city council.
We have now paid our portion, okay? For a $3 million, we sent a check for $60,000. And we have paid our portion on the $3 million worth of sidewalks.
Have they said, and now since you've paid your money, it should be done by XYZ?
No.
I'm dreaming, okay.
that's a
Yeah,
text.
we're talking text now.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it. They've been very helpful.
Okay.
They really have. I
Okay,
mean, they're working very hard on that.
so we're moving,
In the
okay.
environment that, to get all that done. But it was important that we got, we got the application in, we got the money in. And, you even saw where we did a quick, we did an overnight draft for that check because they were closed, they were headed to a meeting and we got the money in before the meeting. It enhanced our ability to have that money. So there's a lot of things like that happen that, and we appreciate everybody that's helped us get where we are today.
Okay.
Yeah, and I liked number 34 on his list. Survived a couple of days without office furniture.
Don't listen to him. He got the whole council chambers and sits office. Don't feel sorry for him. He got the whole council chambers to himself.
He did, he
With the furniture.
did it with LOL.
I was kidding.
Thank you, Wayne.
Okay.
Any council member report that we didn't get?
I can expand upon the meeting with Dr. Steinwald, if anybody's.
Yes, please.
So we had a conference call. We blocked out an hour with Abra Nusser from Peloton Land Solutions, and Jeff Harris and myself and Mr. McKethan and Rich Bruning. And just brainstorming ideas, things that could be done, can be done, possible to be done. And Peloton, Abra said that they would give us back some land use plans, some land use ideas to present to the doctor and see if she has interest in moving forward on some of those ideas. We talked about, we talked about bringing in the county, cooperating with the county on being able to access in property through the soccer park, how that would kind of look, how that would kind of fit in. We brainstormed some ideas to present to Dr. Stangenwald whenever we have kind of a very rough outline of a project that Abra could conceive of. And then, if the doctor is still interested in moving forward with us on some ideas, then Abra is going to come to us with more of a scope of work request for money to do some design work and some outline, some preliminary land use planning, and then maybe I think she was also talking about some potential budget cost to be able to develop what maybe the land use would look like for the doctor to consider. So, positive steps. She is still interested in, moving forward with possibly coming into the city limits. She's not closed off to the idea completely. We expressed to her, our desire was for R1 and townhomes, some type of a mixed use development that made sense for that property and in that neighborhood. Contingent upon bringing the entire tract into the city limits. And she was not opposed to that. So, we're proceeding as if she is still open-minded. I don't know, I haven't talked to her in a week and a half, so I don't know what she may be doing, on her own, down her own line, still looking towards an RV park. But that's what I know right now.
You're discussing annexing possible that property, and you're discussing for the city to pay for Abra to come up with land uses?
Yeah, we'd have to cost share. We'd have to cost share with the doctor to come up to some idea that makes sense, for her. I don't think there's any question that if we want to change the use or persuade her to have another use, we're going to have to help her in this project.
It's currently R1, right?
It's currently nothing.
No, it's currently
Point-
No, there's a section that's
There's
city.
0.76.
Yeah.
0.76.
It is R1.
Parallelogram is, and then the remaining 33.7 acres
It's county.
is county property. Rich, did you have your hand up? Oh, it's not my meeting, I'm sorry.
No, I didn't. I do want to say that it was a very productive meeting, and I think once Abra gets back to us with some options that can be presented, it sounds very advantageous for us for the future.
Any further city business? We adjourn this meeting at 8:50 PM.
Sounds a little loud.
You want to make sure we're